Hi, greetings, and God bless in the mighty name of Lord Jesus Christ. So, I wanted to address this current situation right now, the latest PSYOP, and this is just talking out loud. And what I'm noticing amongst I can't even call them right or conservative or whatever. I mean, it's just they're not the lefties, they're not the total NPC um, kill every heterosexual Christian white person. Like they're, they're these other more reasonable people, and but they're totally taking the bait with the Kirk situation, and they took the bait with Trump a bit, and some of them, paid attention that there were all these glaring inconsistencies and um, initially, I knew it wasn't real. It just seemed so staged, and then, but I was kind of relieved because I'm like, okay, well, at least this person will be put into power um, instead, excuse me, instead of Kamal. And but as we see, like Trump is basically doing what Kamal would have done, maybe just with a different flavor. And of course, we know that whoever is the president is selected. But now with this current situation with Kirk, it's a similar, JFK like drama. And I'm noticing that a lot of non-leftists, because I don't know what else to call them. They're not necessarily conservatives or the right or patriots or whatever, but because it's international as well. Everybody's like believing in this psychodrama, and it's very effective. However, there's all these glaring inconsistencies, a dozen different ways of how the Kirk false flag is a false flag, and it's obviously a false flag because the deep state is satanic and they follow rules of karma, and one of the rules is that there has to be informed consent. So they tell us that it's staged. They leave glaring um, clues. They leave you clues. But if you refuse to look at the clues and then still go ahead with their agenda, like the poison pokes, then it's on you. Then the burden of liability is on you. And anyways, there's these glaring inconsistencies about the Kirk false flag. But I'm noticing amongst my friends is pretty much everybody is believing it. Even my more hardcore friends. And why I think the non-left is believing it is because we have been under such psychological warfare, such unbelievable, relentless, merciless psychological warfare, even before 2020. But it's definitely, I mean, just the Satanists are throwing everything that they could possibly think of. So the non-left is like, finally, we have a martyr. I think they're like, now we can get a break. Now the left will show some decency. And like one of my leftist friends, he was like, "Oh, it's so sad about mental illness causing people to," and I'm like, "No, it's a false flag. I don't want your sympathy. This isn't something to be sympathetic about. What's horrible is that the Kirk family is profiting from this, and they're going to groom him for a new role. His wife has a new role now as some weird martyr wife, weird Scientology witchy lady, and just like with the weird stuff about like whispering at his hands, being filmed in his coffin. I mean, like, what kind of weird, perverse people are these? Like, her Instagram has her with vials of her own blood, like, and it's focusing on her hands at the blood, her hands with her breast milk, putting it in their fridge. Like, what kind of weirdo is this? These are people who are brought up in a cult, in a satanic cult that likes body fluids and depravity and debauchery and weird satanic stuff. So anyways, so the left is like, some of the left is like, haha, gleeful. But these are people, the thing is, you can't expect the left to have common decency because they think they get to kill their infants, their fetuses. I have known leftists, PETA activists. So these are PETA activists, but that are gleeful about their baby being aborted. And the thing is, when your baby is aborted, it's feeling you dismembering it. I mean, and the thing is, your baby, when you've aborted it, is then sold by Planned Parenthood. And this is fact. Like YouTube, we know, you and I know this is fact. You can look it up. And there's just always a false flag when Planned Parenthood is about to be taken into account. And that's why Planned Parenthood has lost funding. That's why Planned Parenthood has shut down. If you look around cross country, it's because they're criminals and people have had enough. And it's gotten so bad that they're not even getting, well, I mean, it helped with discovering like that APAC funding stuff. And I don't even know all of the details. But anyway, the left loves to kill they do infanticide as a hobby. They do infanticide. The left does infanticide as a form of birth control. Okay? These are sick people. They don't realize they're sick people because they've been brainwashed by academia and now social media that, of course you kill your fetus. You kill you kill all 11 of your fetuses. And you brag about it. Like this is the mentality of the left. So we can't blame them or expect them if they're happily killing, a dozen of their children when there's a false flag about some conservative being killed. Like this is their mentality. This is normal. They're murderers as a way of life. I mean, who works at Planned Parenthood? It's murderers. It's women, like sick women, love being murderers of babies, of the most vulnerable, and mentally murdering people. Like, and I think this weird psychopathy of women who love to be cruel to the vulnerable, to the defenseless, it seems to have increased. And I think it's a demonic possession kind of a thing. So when the left is being demonic, like we can't expect anything else from them. Of course, they need to be held accountable legally and whatnot, as if like they haven't been held accountable for the past 5 years with them burning down our city centers and the Democratic leftist mayors encouraging the burning down of city centers, expecting the federal government and taxpayers to give them money to rebuild for the 15-minute cities and all that. Businesses destroyed, lives destroyed because of the left burning down the cities in 2020 at the same time where Christians weren't allowed to go to church and stores, mom and pop stores weren't allowed to be open, but we had the liquor stores open, the tattoo parlors open, the vape shops open, the CBD shops open. Anyway, I mean, and that tells you it's the satanic stuff gets to be open. The crony corporatism of Walmarts get to be open, but not the wholesome, independent stores, And I've noticed just living around the country is that a lot of smaller shops close, and it's because of the big box stores prices. It's cheaper, and then the location, the parking, the traffic, the commute is better, I guess. But our nation, or the West, Christendom, is being engineered to be destroyed from the inside by our politicians and the media. So, anyways, conservatives or whoever is not on the left, stop buying into the false flags. This won't be the last one. I mean, JFK was the last really big one, and that was a false flag too. And there's been movies and documentaries and whatever, but I know it's hard Like we were tortured by our loved ones, by our friends, by our community, by the news, by social media, everyone. If you're not a leftist, you're tortured, you're isolated, and then they're doing the Satanists are doing the divide and conquer now, but of the non-leftists, because most of the non-left now believes that Kirk is some sort of martyr and he's just a false flag actor groomed to do this role, just like Trump is, just like probably Assange and Snowden and just everybody, Chelsea Manning, um, everybody in acting, everybody in news, everybody's groomed in the satanic family. They're all CIA agents meant to manipulate our mind and make us believe that they're in charge, or that we are weak, or that we're bad people, and that we should let them destroy us. So it's really we're under just like terrible mental abuse by the powers that be, and they have manipulated our everybody almost around us. But be that as it may, just don't believe the lie. If you could see through the lie, say it's a lie. If you see that there's these glaring problems with the Charlie Kirk issue, point it out. And yeah, like my friends are now like not talking to me, or they definitely won't talk to me about that. And maybe sometime down the way they'll see that it's a false flag. But yeah, folks, if it's mainstream news, it's not real. If it's mainstream, if the mainstream is promoting it, it's a lie. If the mainstream is promoting it, they have an agenda. Because there's a lot of important things that never make it to the news at all. There's a lot of important things, a lot of amazing things, a lot of good things, a lot of creative things, a lot of innovation that has developed that's never been recorded in history, because it doesn't serve the satanic agenda, and it is satanic. And when people are saying, oh, so and so is bad, whether it's an Arab in Gaza or whether it's a Israeli in Gaza, but if they never are saying we need to get rid of evil worldwide, they're all liars. They're all paid. Like when somebody is milking somebody, getting a Jewish person getting killed in Gaza, or some Arab person is milking that Arab kid got shot in Gaza. But if they're not saying take out all the Satanism everywhere, then they're liars. Then they're shills. Then they're milking it. Then they're just trust fund grifters. Because it's all the same thing worldwide that's doing all the destruction. It's Satanism. And it's, Khazarian mafia, their Babylonian money magic technology. When you don't participate in the international bankster mob, child human sacrifice, Epstein Island, P. Diddy kind of ritual, because that's how the money magic people work. They target people who have perversions, and then they manipulate them to do it in front of cameras, and then they use these debauchery, horrible people in positions of power, of all power, and so they keep them addicted, and so the people like torturing children and raping children and people and whatever. But if somebody has a conscience, if 10 years earlier they did it and they were recorded, then they were blackmailed. So that's how this Babylonian money magic Khazarian mafia works, is they prey upon people, like really fallible people, really messed up toxic people, and they document them doing bad things, and then they blackmail them to continue this Babylonian ritual human sacrifice to demons cult. That's what's running Earth right now. And there's people who I think are oblivious And because I notice when I worked in corporate America, there's usually somebody who's a really lovely person, and or people I've met, they're really good people, and I think they're this bait and switch. So there's this really good person, and so that's how they get customers and clients and stuff, because they're like, well, this company must be good because they hired such a good person. But I think what a satanic company does, is they hire a really wonderful person who's magnetic and instills trust. But then it's a bait and switch. So then the company, has all their predators ready to exploit the customer and abuse the customer, or abuse the person. So, um, so I think that's how the system works. It appears to me. And what I'm trying to say is avoid being manipulated, because it's all about manipulation. It's all about lies. And if it's on mainstream news, it's a lie, or it's some sort of agenda. But with Kirk is alive, he's an actor groomed for this role, and he's going to make an appearance at some later point. And they have they have masks they can use now with CGI and AI. So we don't know if Trump is the same Trump that we originally voted for 8 years ago, or whatever, or however long ago it was, 12 years ago. Anyway, sorry, I have a hard time keeping track, but what we see is not even real footage. It could be something on a green screen. And so unless I know something in the day to day and it's in person, I'm not really going to believe it. And when there's a lot of inconsistencies, or when there's a lot of proof over time by different people who have no investment, and we have this evidence, that's what I'm going to believe. And if you do look at the Kirk event, by people who are looking at agreed upon data, there's all these glaring clues that this is a false flag, and it wasn't somebody getting injured. It was a theatrical film scene. So, and I'm with you. I'm tired. I'm tired of the psyop. I'm tired of the torture, of everybody being this dumb sheep, even the non-leftists. Or it's just because the truth is really it's unthinkable. It's unpleasant. It really is unpleasant. Um, so the more the more isolated you become, because nobody even really wants to talk about these Satanists and whatnot. But the thing is, like Scripture says, be wise as the wise as the serpents, be wise as the serpents and gentle as the doves. So, and that's kind of a hard thing. It's like, what is dove-like gentleness? Because at this point, especially like one of my dear friends who is non-leftist, and was very into conspiracy theories. And I'm like, she's fallen for the bait. She believes it. She believes in the Kirk psyop, it seems. And I'm like, snap out of it. Don't believe this lie. But I understand why people are wanting to believe it. Hook, line, and sinker. They're totally, they're watching the stuff and people singing gospel hymns. I'm like, so this one guy, we have this false flag of this one guy having this very tidy, shooting scene, and everybody is gathering together by the tens of thousands. But what happened about 2020 when hospitals were killing our parents and our friends, killing them with the remdesivir, killing them with the ventilators, and getting paid up to $300,000 for torturing our friends and family to death. And then with the injections, we have, crazy numbers of death by the poison poke, where the government admits, where Pfizer admits, and like, where's the protests? Where, like, are we so pathetic? Like, are we such sheep? And I guess so. I expect more out of people. I expect people to be more intelligent. And they're proving themselves to be dumb. They're proving themselves to be like dangerously ignorant and manipulatable. And the question has been coming to my mind is, why bother? Why bother talking? Why bother trying to get people to wake up? And it's just, maybe there's going to be a 1 in a million worthwhile human being that benefits from this information. And I'm beginning to think it's 1 in a million, because there's not a whole lot of people who care or who even have the capacity. And it's weird because people can be physicists, people can be accountants, people can do all sorts of like philosophy, like deep thinking, Bible scholars, but they won't look, they won't even pay attention to the evidence of their own eyes. It's not even very hard. I don't think it's very hard, but it could be. Maybe I just have, I have training in something called iridology. I have training in feng shui. I have training in handwriting analysis. So, and also in the past, before I was a Christian, I was trained as a clairvoyant. And so maybe I just have a certain type of brain that it's about discernment. My life's work is about discernment. And now it's about, discerning the Bible and rightly dividing the Bible. Yeah, it's just not a whole lot of people are, there's not a whole lot of people to communicate about this kind of thing with. So, and I understand, it's tough, it's hard, it's we want to break, and I've been waiting for the rapture for something like 7 or 8 years. And now it actually feels like it's going to be farther. Like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I was like, oh, it's got to happen any moment. But it seems like it's going to be a longer time, or at least that's just my feeling. So that's another topic. But anyways, yes, non-leftists, this is hard. The psyop wasn't convincing. Don't let such a dumb psyop fool you. If it's a good psyop, okay, but this was a dumb psyop. Do better. But yeah, it's hard, and we want to break. We want sympathy, but is it really worth it? Is it really worth throwing in your discernment just to get, like, just to kind of sort of like mental masturbation, I think, with this Kirk psyop? And I'm finding the same thing with the blonde in North Carolina. Another psyop is the non-left really are into it. They're getting some gratification from the anger and stuff like that. And again, it's this one person they're willing to get all upset about, but they didn't get upset about their parents being murdered in hospitals by doctors and nurses who are running free right today, by like governors and health department people are running around who committed murder, who genocided our fellow countrymen in Europe, in the UK, in the USA, in Australia, New Zealand. And they're running around today. We have serial killers who got paid very well to kill us, to kill our loved ones. We're killing them now for organs. And when they harvest your organs, they put you on a paralytic and no painkillers because that's hard on the organs. So you are eviscerated while alive. It's a satanic ritual. It's a satanic human. That when they did human sacrifice on the top of that Aztec pyramid, you were alive while they took out your heart. Okay, there's no. This is, we are in a satanic, evil, demonic cult, and their minions are in positions of power and respect. Government, medicine, schools, chopping up little children's nether regions is the new income stream of medicine. And so these children can't pee. Young adults can't pee. They'll never be able to reproduce. They'll never have a proper sexual experience because they've been mutilated, because their parents wanted them to, or because their teacher wanted them to, or because their doctor and hospital profited. Because it's satanic. It's all evil, like evil in the biblical sense. I'm not um, using a cliche. I'm using this technical, mathematical term, evil. So the people are sheep. Like Kierkegaard says, if you want to be liked, appeal to idiots. And it does seem like, so we have idiots on the left who are just like, what the heck? Like, what? Like, you really need help. But then we have people on the right who are not as messed up, but they're being idiotic, and it's all about conforming. They're conformists. So you have conformists of the left who are changing their hair color and wearing the dumb septum piercing. Like, they don't even wear it well. They don't even have the right proportions and stuff. And then we have the right who's like, okay, we're going to go to our ritual Kirk martyr event now. So I know I'm rambling, and yes, it's hard, but be stronger, people. Like, if you're a non-lefty, like, be stronger than the psyop, because it's not even a very good psyop. Don't be hypnotized by this poorly done farce. It's not even good. Like, it's not even well done, or yeah. So, but I understand. I understand it's hard when people want to break and they want some emotional gratification, and this is giving it to them. But you shouldn't get emotional gratification from a false, fake mind control agenda. So, of course, everybody's like, turn off your internet, turn off social media. And yeah, I think in a way that's good. But the thing is, if you do, then people are going to be like, oh, so-and-so was shot. And you're going to be like, wow, so-and-so was shot, and you won't discern that it was fake. Just like, all my life, I didn't know, about JFK. I remember in New York City, somebody had written on their van, on this white van, how it was he was assassinated by, somebody else, not who we were told. And so that was like the first kind of thing that made me question, or, brought to mind that it could be questioned. But it took many years to see how there's false flags. So yeah, it's good to not be consumed by social media, but you do need media literacy. You need critical thinking in how to deconstruct false flags, how to deconstruct propaganda, how to deconstruct mind control, manipulation, psychological operations, because this is being heavily used against us, probably more now the past few years than ever maybe before. So I do think you have to be informed, or you need to know somebody you trust that is willing to do the research. Consider what the expert tells you, but you should evaluate it using your own discernment. So you've got to have critical thinking. You've got to be thinking, folks. You can't just go along with everything. I just can't believe how many hundreds of thousands of people are buying into the Kirk thing. I mean, are they all like paid shills? Are they all? It just doesn't. We have so many. I mean, with the whole Trump thing, it was comical after the fact, but people are like, oh, but now is real. Yeah, the Trump thing was fake, but with Kirk, it's real for some reason. For some reason, it's real with Kirk, even though there's laughable, bizarre, kind of gross stuff about Kirk's thing, like with the wife kissing his hands, which are at his waist, and whispering. Like what kind of nonsense is that? What kind of performance is that? Like what? Like it seemed kind of depraved to me. It was like necrophilia to me. To have somebody filming it and then have it uploaded, and she's smiling so happily. Like it doesn't make sense. Like this is not somebody whose love of their life has been violently taken away from them. So, anyways, I know I've gone on quite a bit. What do you guys think? And may Almighty God keep your eyes open, ears open. May you have discernment. And I pray that you have come to the Lord, that He was a living man. He died, was buried. He shed his blood for our salvation. He gave us a blood transfusion. He is our replacement, our substitute for the wages of our sin, should we accept it. So I hope you accept God's gift, Jesus' gift, that he's God who became man to save us. So that's 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4, and Romans 3:25. So anyways, be strong, be resilient, be discerning, and let me know what you think of us.